What if everything you thought you knew about a world leader's foreign policy was just flipped on its head? For years, the world watched, puzzled, as Donald Trump seemed to walk a tightrope with Vladimir Putin. Friendly rhetoric, a desire for better relations, even moments that raised eyebrows among allies. But a bombshell dropped on Monday that rewrites the entire playbook. We're talking about a 50-day ultimatum to Russia, backed by a threat of 100% secondary tariffs that could trigger an economic apocalypse for any nation, and that's just one part of a stunning new strategy. The world is asking, has Trump gone from perceived friend to Putin's fiercest foe? Stick around, because this is the geopolitical earthquake you need to understand. The bombshell drops 50 days and 100% tariffs. Let's get right into the heart of it. On Monday, July 14th, 2025, President Donald Trump delivered a declaration that sent shockwaves from Washington to Beijing and, most certainly, to Moscow. At a White House press conference standing beside NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, Trump laid down the law. He issued a crystal-clear 50-day ultimatum to Russia.
So based on that, we're going to be doing secondary tariffs if we don't have a deal in 50 days. It's very simple. And they'll be at 100%. And that's the way it is. It can be more simple. It's just the way it is. I hope we don't have to do it.
The demand? A ceasefire with Ukraine and a concrete peace agreement? The consequence of failure? The United States will unleash very severe 100% secondary tariffs on any country that continues to trade with Russia, especially those buying their oil and gas. Let that sink in. This isn't just about direct sanctions on Russia. Secondary tariffs mean that if a country like China or India continues buying Russian oil, their exports to the United States could face a 100% import duty, doubling the price of everything from electronics to textiles. This is an economic weapon, a diplomatic sledgehammer, a line in the sand that forces the global community to choose: trade with Russia or trade with the world's largest economy. Trump didn't hold back. He expressed strong disapproval and disappointment with Vladimir Putin, accusing him of being all talk and condemning Russia's relentless attacks on Ukrainian civilians. Let's take a deeper look at what these tariffs mean in practice. Secondary tariffs are rare in international policy, and when they're used, they often send a clear message: choose your side. By threatening a 100% levy on countries trading with Russia, Trump is not just punishing Moscow, he's forcing the entire global economy to realign. In essence, the policy draws a bold new line in the sand, an economic iron curtain. Some analysts say this approach mirrors Cold War-era containment strategies, but uses dollars instead of tanks. Instead of military blockades, it's market access that becomes the weapon. And here's the kicker: many global markets depend heavily on access to U.S. consumers. Losing that access could spell disaster for companies and governments alike. NATO's new role: allies paying for Ukraine's fight. But the tariffs weren't the only shocker. In that same announcement, Trump confirmed a historic agreement with NATO allies. Top-of-the-line American weapons would be rushed into Ukraine.
The US has decided to indeed massively supply Ukraine with what is necessary through NATO. Europeans 100% paying for that. And what we have been doing over the last couple of days is talking with countries.
And this time, Europe is picking up the tab. That's right, this isn't American taxpayers footing the bill. European nations, Germany, Finland, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, the UK, the Netherlands, and Canada are all stepping up. They're purchasing US-made military equipment, including the urgently needed Patriot air defense missile systems, and transferring them directly to Ukraine. This is a game changer. Ukraine, under relentless missile and drone attacks, has been desperate for advanced air defense. Now it's getting it, fast. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte highlighted the speed of this process. Countries will move equipment fast into Ukraine, and the US will backfill it later. And for Trump, this is vindication. A longtime critic of NATO burden sharing, he's now overseeing a moment where America supplies the tools and allies write the check. It's not just military support, it's a geopolitical reshuffle. Trump and Putin, from warm rhetoric to cold fury. Now let's address the elephant in the room. For years, the relationship between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin was one of the most debated issues in global politics. Trump often praised Putin. He dismissed intelligence findings, sought warmer relations, and talked of trust between them. Even earlier this year, in March 2025, Trump reportedly said aboard Air Force One that he trusted Putin to uphold a peace deal because they'd always gotten along well. But things have changed dramatically. Trump's tone has shifted from friendly to furious. In April 2025, he called on Putin to stop launching attacks on Kyiv, noting noting that 5,000 soldiers a week are dying. By May, on Truth Social, he posted, "Something has happened to him. He's gone absolutely crazy." Most recently, Trump said, "My conversations with him are enjoyable, and then the missiles go off at night." He's fooled a lot of people. He fooled Clinton, Bush, Obama, and Biden. He didn't fool me.
My conversations with him are always very pleasant. They say, "Isn't that a very lovely conversation?" And then the missiles go off that night. I go home, I tell the First Lady, I spoke to Vladimir today. We had a wonderful conversation. She said, "Oh, really? Another city was just hit." So it's like, look, he's, I don't want to say he's an assassin, but he's a tough guy. It's been proven over the years. He's fooled a lot of people. He fooled Bush. He fooled a lot of people. He fooled Clinton, Bush, Obama, Biden. He didn't fool me.
This isn't just a diplomatic pivot, it's personal. The 24-hour peace plan Trump once touted during his campaign has collided with the cold reality of war and the behavior of a man he once thought he understood. The result? A scorched earth strategy. To truly understand this pivot, we need to take a step back. From 2016 onward, Trump was dogged by allegations of being too close to Putin, accusations he often dismissed as political noise. Critics pointed to the Helsinki summit, where Trump appeared to side with Putin over U.S. intelligence. Supporters argued that he was simply pursuing peace through strength, seeking pragmatic dialogue rather than Cold War tensions. But the war in Ukraine changed everything. Trump's inner circle reportedly grew frustrated with Putin's erratic behavior. As casualties mounted and Russia escalated its attacks on civilians, even Trump's allies acknowledged something had snapped. The man once labeled smart and strong was now being called reckless and delusional by former admirers. This is more than just a strategic shift, it's a reckoning, a moment where Trump is redrawing his legacy in real time. America First reloaded. Now here's the twist. This new hardline stance, it might look aggressive, but it actually fits perfectly with Trump's long-standing America First playbook. It's about one thing, leverage. Use America's economic power to pressure adversaries, make allies pay more, and turn U.S. defense manufacturing into a strategic tool. Trump has consistently criticized NATO for underinvesting in defense. Now, under his leadership, European allies are directly purchasing American weapons and transferring them to Ukraine, achieving both geopolitical goals and economic benefits. The U.S. gets less financial burden on taxpayers, a surge in defense manufacturing, and global influence reasserted. It's America first, not isolationist, but transactional. It's foreign policy as business, and now business is war. The global ripple, who pays the price? Now let's talk stakes. Trump's threat of 100% secondary tariffs could trigger a global trade meltdown. Who stands to lose the most? Start with China and India, the two biggest buyers of Russian oil. Since the war began, they've provided crucial financial lifelines to Moscow. But under Trump's new plan, if they don't stop buying Russian energy within 50 days, their exports to the U.S. could be hit with 100% tariffs. That means Chinese electronics double in price. Indian textiles have become unaffordable. Global supply chains face chaos. Trump's logic is simple. If you fund Russia's war machine, you don't get access to America's market, and the message is landing. Russia's top trade partners in 2024 were China, 34%, India, Turkey, and Belarus. This ultimatum forces each of them into a corner. They either sever ties with Moscow or risk their economic stability. NATO's Mark Rutte has warned these tariffs could hit countries like China, India, and Brazil very hard. Even financial analysts are starting to take notice. ING analysts say markets haven't fully priced in the threat, but if implemented, the shockwaves would be immense, fueling inflation, disrupting trade, and redrawing global alliances. Countries like India are in a particularly tricky position. India has maintained a delicate balance between its relationships with the U.S. and Russia. Historically reliant on Russian arms and fuel, yet increasingly intertwined with Western trade, India now faces a diplomatic and economic crossroads. China, on the other hand, may see this as an affront to its sovereignty. Already engaged in a fierce trade rivalry with Washington, Beijing might resist capitulating to U.S. demands, risking further decoupling and inflationary blowback across global supply chains. Even smaller economies like Turkey and Brazil could suffer collateral damage. If global commodity prices spike or trade routes get choked, ripple effects could hit agriculture, manufacturing, and energy sectors worldwide. This isn't just about punishing Russia, it's about reshaping the global order, with high-stakes choices facing every player on the board. The countdown begins. So here we are, 50 days. That's the window Russia has to reach a peace agreement or face devastating economic consequences. The goals are clear. Starve Russia's war chest, supercharge Ukraine's defense alliances with NATO-funded arms, corner Putin with economic, military, and diplomatic pressure. Will it work? Early signs from the Kremlin suggest resistance. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov called the ultimatum unacceptable. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov blamed Ukraine for stalled peace efforts, and former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev dismissed the whole announcement as a theatrical ultimatum and claimed Russia didn't care. But behind the bravado, pressure is building. For the first time, Trump is weaponizing America's full economic might, not just against Russia, but against anyone who keeps them afloat. If Russia doesn't comply, the consequences could be felt not just in Moscow, but in Beijing, Delhi, São Paulo, and beyond. This is brinkmanship, Trump style. High stakes, no filters, maximum pressure. The next 50 days could reshape the world. This is no longer just a distant conflict. Trump's ultimatum has global consequences, disrupting trade, straining alliances, and redefining diplomacy. What do you think? Is this aggressive new strategy the key to finally ending the war in Ukraine? Will Putin fold, or will he dig in and drag the world into deeper economic chaos? Drop your predictions in the comments below. Let's start a conversation. And if you found this breakdown valuable, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for ongoing analysis of global events that actually matter.